Designed more like a small vertical village than a house by stacking workshops and living spaces and gardens and even a floor for the animals, Real Architecture Workshop have created an ambitious idea of what home in the 21st century might look like. And they've crammed all of that onto a very modest suburban block. And with a deep commitment to community, as well as the best in passive design principles, there's a lot going on in this place. So let's see. I came here today thinking I was going to come and visit your house. And I've walked into something that I don't even know how to describe. What is this place?
This is a combination of things, life around us, things that we love as a family, as a place for learning. It's like we call it in Indonesia, it's like a padepokan. Padepokan is like a hermitage. It's a place like kind of our own temple, I think. So we live it in the daily life.
It depends what room I walk into, but at one moment it's a library, then it's a classroom, then it's a home, then it's an aviary, then it's an animal farm.
Yes, we started as a place for work because we need to survive as a family, as friends, and we come together to work together in the studio of architecture. And that's how we start, define it as the place for office and studio life. And studio culture, and then bring it after that. We need to have an archive and share it to people and do a discussion together and dialogue. And we think about it, it could be a library.
Yeah.
And the next one, okay, we need a place for live in, and then it's become a house and home. So I think that architect should not tell a story by himself or herself. They should comprehend the story by others. So, and again, then we can form a story, not only one singular story, but many multiple stories, thousands of stories. I think architecture is a mission, not only just a business.
When I stand on the street corner and I look at your building, I see a very organic and informal kind of expression. But when I go into your building, I see details and care and design everywhere. So that informality seems to have no scale at the street or a loose scale at the street, but a real precision and thoughtfulness at the level of the human touch on the building. This seems like Color Scarpa meets Indonesia, meets your mind at the human interaction with the architecture.
Yes. I met with the Carlos Scarpa work in 2014, and I adore his attention, I adore his life and his relation with the craftsman and the workmanship, with the workshop. And the magical things about that, when I tell my father about it, and he said, "You have it in front of your studio, so why you go to the Venice and then to see Scarpas?" And suddenly I just realized, okay, I need to start to listen to the craftsman then. And start to organize the vocabulary of the details. So by doing that, I think I do agree that from the outside, maybe my sense of skills, I need time to open up myself. That's why it's so understated and it's so simple. But by doing inside, you go to the entrance, you see a lot of things coming, and it's just to start to shake hands. And I think in our side, we just need to be honest with our process, that we need to fight, but it's still along the way. From the outside, we don't need to impress everybody. We just need to place some space that is safe for many people, including my teams and my family. So that's why we are kind of intensively inwards. And we are trying to know that how, if we healthy inside and forming the more healthy relation with the outside. I think that's a work in progress.
With that in mind, how important is it that architecture is beautiful?
It's so ultimate. It needs to be not also beautiful, but it needs to be meaningful. You can trace the roots until the basics. So how is important in our conversation like this? Until the formation, we can tell the stories. I think by doing that, I think that's the most important thing. The thing that I can recall in the memory.
So why was it important for you to approach practice in this way?
When I try to define that architecture, I can find because my father once said that you need to go back to the basic, meaning I have to start it from the way that architecture is so detached with the reality. And the fight for me to go back to the reality is just to open up some of the barrier. So by opening that barrier, I think people kind of see that, okay, this is starting to have something magical going on. Yeah, and try to not to have a client as the client, but client as a part of the things that, okay, treat them as a family and we can grow together.
Yeah.
So by having that, I think we have a very healthy studio culture and relation with the client.
So what is this? This is
It's a testimonial.
Can I take one off and look?
Yes, sure.
And we've got this person.
Neat and tidy feels like my own home.
Oh.
So good to spend 30 minutes from on to read a book.
That's like the highest praise ever, isn't it?
That's right.
Feels like my own home.
Yeah.
It's a little bird's nest up here.
Yes, we have.
You seem to squeeze so much in to such a little footprint. Is that something that happens from the beginning of the design, or as you sort of learn to live with the space and you add more? Or
Yes, it's starting to train our mind.
Yeah.
Of course, with a big canvas, you can always make it powerful, iconic, right? But if you just say very small, can you do that?
Yeah.
It's something you're training in every day and day.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. You really are living this philosophy, this commitment to the idea of what architecture can be.
And I learned from my many teachers in Central Java that what inside your mind is very important. But do you know where you want to go to? So that's kind of things makes me wonder about, if I limit myself, how can I limit the others? If I limit the others, and how about we can define the ecosystem? That's kind of critical question is like happening every day. I believe that architecture can touch people's heart.
Yeah.
By doing that, I think we need to focus in our own ecosystem.
Oh, whoa. This is unexpected. What a dramatic space. And right in the center of all of this energy. It's like the still center.
Yes, and still small.
Yeah.
So I have to face it daily, so it's become a therapeutical design space.
Yeah, it puts a smile on your face every day.
Yeah.
I love that. The ultimate, I guess, expression then of your architecture has a real informality to it. It seems like it is an organic accumulation of thinking and changing and a perpetual project. Certainly the Gua, the nest house, that feels like it's had many lives already. Yeah, is that how you see architecture? Continually in motion.
Yes, it's driven by many people, memories and emotions. And if you tell the story, it's never ending. It's like 1,000 and more stories of people inside. But if we can open our mind, and there are some of the details that comes of the little conversation, it will make a great building by itself.
Yeah. When you think of good design, what does that mean to you?
The meaning of the good design, I think, is a battle. It's battle. It's continuous battle. It's continuous fight. It's continuous frugality. It's a continuous how to win the people's heart. That's the meaning of the good architecture. If you still keep on going on your fighting, and the last word is, I can face my father when he said that, are you still training? How's your training? As a human being, I think until the death coming to me, I think I will say that I'm still training that.
Yeah.
And something like that is, I think, will provide good architecture.
Yeah. This is Delhi, India's capital,
a thriving metropolis and one of the world's largest megacities. Home to over 30 million people, it holds an important place on the world stage, famous for its history, its architecture, its food, and its culture. Unfortunately, because of its air quality, it's also one of the most polluted cities in the world. Sunda Nursery, a 90-acre park in the middle of Delhi, has recently been part of an enormous renovation project, installing 20,000 new trees, restoring historic buildings, and bringing new greenery everywhere. And it's home to a remarkable new Tower of Technology, designed specifically to help Delhi in its ongoing battle for clean air.
So for us, it was very important as architects to create a balance between aesthetics and performance. You know, for us, company is called Studio Symbiosis, so we're looking at symbiosis in everything which we do. The idea was to really create this performance-driven piece of air purification tower, which really sits as a part of urban furniture. It's a multi-directional air purifier. That's where you see the rotation of the cubes. So the entire thing turns because air also changes direction throughout the day.
So how efficient is it? How good is it at its job?
It can actually clean a large volume of air per day, like 700,000 cubic meter air per day, which is equivalent to 322 hot air balloons. Or another example is 2 cricket fields 2 meter high.
The geometries are obviously fluid and aerodynamically oriented, but the scale of the problem here, I mean, just give me a sense of how big is this problem?
This problem is massive.
Yeah.
So they say 99.5% of urban population is living in pollution levels higher than their recommendation.
Right.
So in terms of the, the problem, like it has never been worse.
Yeah.
And the worst part is that air, water are 2 of the most essential components which are required for any human being. And right now we're compromising one of them, which is air.
So that's an enormous problem that you're tackling here. How does this actually work?
So the polluted air, it sucks it in, it has fans, energy efficient fans. It cleans the air and it throws out opposite side. And because verto is turning, verto also comes from the Latin vertere, so means to turn. So it turns and cleans the air. And because of the turning, we are getting almost 360-degree multi-directional air purification.
It's all about wind drag and the amount of air we can capture. In the winter months, the wind speed drops to 0.5 meter per second. And in summer, it's around 1.5 to 2 meter per second. So that's why the pollution happens in Delhi. If there was high wind, the entire pollution will go to neighboring states and not stay in Delhi. It was not something we thought, let's design an air purifier. It was never our intention. Right. Just that as architects, for one project, we're looking for something which would do this. And surprisingly, there was nothing which we found.
Okay.
So they say, invention is the key to any innovation. So this is what was in this case. We started looking into aerodynamics. We tried to understand what is air purifier, first of all.
Yeah.
And how does wind play such an important part. So after a lot of research, we understood that air is actually the main component which drives the design.
I mean, I would imagine that the problem with pollution is out there on the streets in the middle of a busy roundabout or something like that. Why here?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Because the trees don't clean fine particles. They're trying to catch the fine particles, PM10 and PM2.5. It goes in the bloodstream, so it affects heart, lungs, liver, and the whole body because it enters the bloodstreams, right? We have a better air because there's more oxygen, but there's still fine particles everywhere in the city. And here we wanted to put it somewhere where there are people. On the weekends, it's quite busy, there's Sunday market. Here, a lot of people come morning jogging and for sports. No?
It's not a city solution. It's not a solution where you can put a couple of autos and the sky is blue and life is amazing again. But it is a product which is changing one person's life at a time in a certain area. It's a huge problem, so the solution has to be also huge. If you want to clean a city, maybe you have to put like 3,000 of them.
Tell me about the construction method here. It's modular, is that right?
See, the idea was, of course, the structure is quite big. We have to have a quick plug-and-play system, which can be quickly assembled on sites whenever required. So it's a play of geometry coming from, this aerodynamic elliptical form. So we try to make it a modular system, which can be flat-packed, shipped easily, and then you can erect it on site.
How many of these would you imagine rolling out across the city, if you could?
We should think of to start at some areas, to create some clean hotspots in the city. This would be the goal, with a network of Vertos.
Yeah.
Not only one Verto, but a network which can create a clean bubble.
Here, there are people around, they have health on their mind because they're in the park. So this is sort of signalling and demonstrating a potential solution as much as it's actually solving. So what is good design to you?
So I think good design is performance-driven, but yet elegant. It has to fulfill both. That's what we believe in Studio Symbiosis.
Form and function unite here in this heroic innovation, making this city more livable, more sustainable, and just better. I think it's safe to say that when smart technology meets clever design, the sky really is the limit. So this is all rattan?
Yeah. Can you give me a wild guess how many types of rattan there is in the world?
I wouldn't know where to start. I'm going to say 200?
So there's about 600 species in the whole world, where about 50 of them is being traded commercially.
Right.
And about 97 or 98% of it grows naturally in Indonesia. And so a lot of people, they don't really know if there's any different kinds of species of rattan or different kinds of use. And here, we want to showcase the different kind of
look at this.
types. This is called manao. So manao is the larger type of rattan, and usually they're made for furniture frames. While the smaller ones, this is called sega. They're used as part of the decoration, so the things that they put on top of it. Or that one over there is called tohiti. It's another different kind of...
and thinner again.
Thinner and a little bit wider.
Yeah.
So they are used for the outer skins of these benches.
Yeah, right.
So they all have different kinds of sizes. Sometimes they have different kinds of characteristics. So some are a little bit more stiffer, some a little bit more flexible. And there's only so much that we know.
Yeah.
50 out of 600.
That's right.
And so we have a lot of homework. and we always want to challenge other designers and architects. I mean, why do you use bamboo or why do you use wood? Why can't you use this type of material? It's indigenous and we have abundant of it, actually.
Yeah.
I think the only missing piece is to connect between the natural resources and the talents or the creative ideas. We work with a very indigenous community based in central Borneo, where we came up with this collection. This collection is called Ndara, and Ndara means, in a Dayak language, means to weave.
To weave.
To weave. And so these people, they have about 5 or 7 villages living next to each other. And they've been working to make these type of craft, let's say, for centuries. But the most, let's say, enlightening thing that I experienced was when we went there, these villages are still without electricity nor phone signal, 2 years ago. And they have been living very sustainably. So their main job is basically to farm. And because the soil is much drier than in Java, So they have to move around every 6 or 7 years to
Yeah.
keep the nutrients regenerated.
Right.
So whenever they plant rice, they also plant fruit trees. And they also plant rattan. So every 6 or 7 years, once they made a full circle, those fruit trees become the secondary forest.
Yes, of course.
And the rattan is ready to be harvested. And so craft is a byproduct because they need those. They use those rattan to actually make baskets, mats, and everything. But their main job is basically to farm.
Yeah.
What really draws us to want to work together with them is that they are a very delicate culture,
Yeah.
but actually, but at the same time, they're also a dying craft. So this bench over here is called dahan, and dahan means a tree branch in Indonesia. And so the whole point was it was designed to remind people that a while ago it was once alive. And so if you give them water and sun, it grows. And so this is a different way of making because we incorporate the artisan much more into the design process. So it's more like a co-creation type of thing.
Okay.
And by doing so, we don't want to mass produce this. So we only make this one as a one-off, and that's it. We'll make several variations, and after that, then we'll create something else.
So this is the only one of
Yeah.
these that you've made?
Exactly, yeah.
Clearly the material's not limiting you. I suppose, if anything, you're really just receptive to what the material's telling you.
Yeah.
And I can see,
Yeah.
I mean, so in the making then, this is a prototype,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, over here. Tell me a little bit about the process of actual making.
Yeah, so here we really want to highlight or emphasize the fact that these benches are made out of a single material. So, you know, in Europe or America and a lot of Western countries, now they already have a lot of regulations into carbon emissions, et cetera, et cetera. And by using different kinds of components, then it usually accumulates the emission through transportation, logistics, and everything. Whilst this bench is 99% is made out of just rattan that comes from a specific village, not really far from here, although, I mean, it's a big country, but not really importing from a different country. And the rest is really just minor components. So I'm just hoping that one day the government puts these carbon emission regulations or carbon taxes, then these pieces should be a better option for people to look for.
Part of the story of the showroom is all of the material making and the processes.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, so these are just highlights of like where we got the materials from the forest. You know, how people took it from, let's say, from the deep end of the forest, how the tools are being used to split them, to take the core and to shave them. And these processes are done very traditionally and very manually as well. Mostly are done by women, and they are very skilled. If you can imagine, like they hold one end of the rattan with their foot, and the other end is basically to split the rattan in half. I tried that before. I failed miserably. But then these processes like continue to shave each strand using this type of tools to make the width even, and the waste of it is being used as a loofah to wash your dishes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So nothing's wasted?
Nothing's wasted. And even like if you throw them away, like, you know, it degrades because it's all just natural with no chemical whatsoever. So these strands are about 2 millimeters wide. Some of them are 1.8. And these black ones are also naturally dyed. So the way they do it is they cook the rattan, these rattan strands with leaves that has latex on it. And after they cook them, they turn into like this dark brownish color. After that, they bury it in the mud for 2 nights. And after that, it becomes black like this. And these black colors, if you can see like in the pieces that we have, or even in the floor mats that the grandmothers used to have, they could last for 50 or 70 years.
Yeah.
And these are just type of leaves with rambutan skins. So imagine like if we dip them in dragon fruit or in mangosteen or in, different kinds of fruits, like what kind of colors we can have.
Yeah.
And it's all natural.
Yeah.
The waste of it, you can just throw them away and they become compost. Design is a very problem-oriented process. And so if another person doesn't really understand or even experience the problem, then it's very difficult to actually teach them to create the solution for it. They really need to jump into the deep end of the pool to understand like the really nitty-gritty problem and challenges. And hopefully they should have enough breath to actually surface, get some air and actually do something about it.
Having met Alvin, the thing that really impresses me is he's one of those designers that sees design not as an object, but as an approach to problem solving. The way he casts his mind into a piece of furniture like this is to see it not as an object, but as an entire ecology. And he's prepared to put design to work in any one of the moments of that enormous supply chain that goes from Rattan to the product. The thing that's so remarkable about all of that is that even though that is a vast agenda, still he seems to be able to produce these beautiful individual pieces.